Welcome back to the Knock-On Effect, the rugby show where we say what the pundits won't. So the Lions just absolutely demolished the AU-NZ 15, 48-0 on Saturday. But in today's video, we're going to go through Andy Farrell's Lion selection, and I'm going to tell you without doubt who he's going to pick and who he's going to leave out. Let's get stuck in. So the way we're going to look at this one isn't necessarily who I would pick, but rather who will Andy Farrell pick. There has been many a time in the past where we have been critical of Farrell's squad selections. So if you're new here, don't just listen to the accent and assume I'm picking Irish players. Jumping straight into the front row, the starters I think are pretty locked in. Ellis Genge has had a phenomenal tour so far. He's such a dynamic carrier of the ball and a lethal scrummager. What else could you ask for? Andrew Porter on the bench. He's arguably even more dynamic with ball in hand than Genge is, but he also has a certain unpredictability to his game. If he gets on the wrong side of the ref, the penalties can start racking up. Why take the risk? Porter off the bench around the 50 or 60 odd mark is a headache for any opposition. Also, I wouldn't be surprised to see them swap roles for the second or third test. Sheehan at hooker, probably the most locked in player on tour. I don't think there's any doubt left anymore. He is the best hooker in world rugby. On the bench is Kelleher. The injury to Luke Cowan Dickie makes this obvious, but for me, Kelleher has done enough to show he deserves a spot regardless. Tadhg Furlong in at tight head. He's had a decent tour so far, and he's more than answered any questions we had surrounding his fitness. On the bench, Will Stewart. I think it's splitting hairs between Furlong and Stewart, but I have a feeling that Farrell will lean with who he trusts. Much like Genge and Porter, I wouldn't be surprised though to see them swap roles for the second or third test. In the second row, first up is obvious, our captain Maro Itoje. I don't think he's performed to his full potential just yet, but I am hopeful the test will bring out his best form. Partnering him, Tadhg Beirne. I know, he hasn't had the best tour, but here's the thing, Farrell will pick reliability over form. He's proved that time and time again with Ireland over the years. Beirne is a solid, reliable and experienced operator, and I think he'll make Farrell's lineup. The second row cover on the bench, Joe McCarthy. He's been having a stormer of a tour so far. If he comes on and gives us his best showing, I can easily see him getting a test start. Much like Porter though, he can find himself at times on the wrong side of the ref. Farrell won't want that for the first test. At blindside, Ollie Chessum. He's the only player who's really stepped up at 6 in my opinion. He adds a huge amount of physicality and has forced his way into the starting 15. At open side, Van der Merwe. He proves his worth in every match he's on the pitch. Absolute tackle machine, brilliant ball carrier and experience in spades. At 8, Conan. I don't think anybody, including Conan, has really stepped up at 8. Earl has had some good moments, but again, when it's close, Farrell will pick the player he trusts. As for the back row cover on the bench, Pollock. Not only has he been steadily proving how elite he is despite his tender age, but the reason I think he'll make the bench, Farrell loves versatility. Pollock covers all 3 back row spots and is guaranteed to up the tempo when he comes on. On to the backs. Jamison Gibson-Park at scrum half, no surprises there. He's looked head and shoulders above his competition. Alex Mitchell is the bench cover. He hasn't had a bad tour and will absolutely do his utmost to put his skills on show given the opportunity. At out half, Finn Russell, another player who has really made himself undeniable. He's really shown us just how experienced and intelligent he is at out half. I don't think anybody questions his ability to keep the back line purring. His decision making is second to none, and most importantly, he is an elite kicker. Simple. His cover, Marcus Smith. Again, this comes down to a matter of versatility. Covering 10 and fullback gets him into the team over Finn Smith. In the centres, I think the injury to Gary Ringrose has made the decision quite easy. Tuipulotu and Huw Jones have to start. Having a Scottish 10, 12 and 13 partnership should help our error count. Both Tuipulotu and Jones have been fantastic. The cover on the bench, Bundee Aki. Tuipulotu goes off, it's a straight swap at 12. If Jones comes off, we see Bundee and 12 and Tuipulotu at 13 again. Aki has been brilliant so far, and arguably deserves a start, but we might have to wait a week or two for that. On the wings, first up, James Lowe. He's had a great tour so far, he's been clinical, and probably the most solid under the high ball, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention his infamous left boot. He thoroughly deserves his start. On the other wing, I think this is really going to surprise a lot of you guys, because I firmly believe that I know who Andy Farrell will pick. It's going to be Mack Hansen. Tommy Freeman hasn't had a great tour so far. He's looked nervous under the high ball and not anywhere near as clinical as he's shown us this year, which leaves a straight shootout between Van der Merwe and Hansen. They've both had fantastic moments. They've both looked a bit off form at times, and there isn't a whole lot to divide them. So who will Farrell pick? The player he trusts. Finishing the team sheet is Hugo Keenan. The injury to Kinghorn has made this obvious choice, but Keenan could quite easily have edged the Scotsman regardless. Let us know whether you think we got it right in the comments below. And as always, cheers for watching, catch you at the next one.